I'm reusing gameplay from my last video, so I hope you don't mind, but I just wanted to get some things off my chest and talk about things that have happened to me that, I don't know, maybe somehow it can help someone who's going through similar grief or who's caretaking for family members. But let's just jump into the story. Hey guys, this is Joe with another episode of Let's Talk, and today I'm going to talk about how my dad passed away in my arms. So, when I was 18, I'm 26 now, my father and aunt, who I live with, started getting sick. I lived with my father, aunt, and mom, who all three of them raised me. And when I was around 18, 19, my aunt and father started getting sick. So, by the time I was 20, when the pandemic hit, their conditions really started amplifying. My aunt was diagnosed with lung cancer, and my father had issues with heart disease and diabetes. So when COVID hit and the world took a pause, a lot changed in my world because they started getting sicker. So there was a point in time where, for about a year or two, it was monthly or bi monthly that we were going to the hospital for someone. I would have to call 911 for either my aunt or dad when they would have flare ups at home. And I started struggling at the time with this. I was a full time student, full time employee, and honestly a full time caretaker at home for the situation going on. Whenever would go to the hospital, my mental health would tank a little bit more with each visit. And I would have my free time still on the weekends. If there was no health conditions at home, I would have free time to do what I wanted. And unfortunately, I was very inundated in a party culture, party lifestyle. So I would do that on the weekend still, but as the hospital trips kept getting frequent and as I watched them get weaker, those things became my coping skill. Those parties, those going out. And it wasn't before long that while I was trying to figure everything out, I started drinking too much and blacking out. So I was able to show up less for everyone at home and I showed up less for myself because it got to the point where I stopped going to work as much and I stopped school even. I had to stop school. I was very distracted and I couldn't study. So it wasn't that I stopped just because, oh, I was blacking out a lot. I did have to stop because there were times where we were in the hospital every month for a different family member. And I'm the youngest one in the house, of course, so I had to be the one to drive my mom there when we had to visit someone or do the errands while we were taking care of whoever was needed at the time. So I'm kind of losing the plot a little bit. I'm sorry. It's a little bit of a different video for me, just talking about my experience in this kind of manner. But like I said, I need to get it off my chest, and I figured maybe it might help someone. But fast forward a few years, my mental health really tanks. You know, they're getting sicker. I don't go back to school. I actually do get a big boy job, and this helps pay for my bills. But there was also a point where I was paying for my car. I had rent because I signed on a lease that I couldn't even live in because I was at home taking care of my family. So I was paying a rent that I wasn't using. I was paying for my car bill, and I was managing to still just waste the rest of the money on alcohol. Um, because I've been financially deep independent, sorry, since I was about 18 as well. But when it came to 2023, my father unfortunately passed. I didn't know it at the time because I was at work, but he went to the urgent care in the morning to get scans for his head because he passed out. Later that night, it was around 10 p.m., 11 p.m., because they stayed up late. So I always stayed up late too because I was, you know, somewhat paranoid that something would happen if I were to sleep. But later that night, I remember vividly in the kitchen he was holding his head, and I said, "Hey, are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, Joe, I'm good." And I walked away, and then I heard a thud in the kitchen, so I sprinted back, and by the time I got there, he was on the floor with his eyes rolling over and foam at the mouth. I'm sorry that was a graphic image, but that's just the one that's been replaying in my head for years. And I've tried therapy, I've tried to talk to friends, family, therapists, but it's pretty tough to erase that. Because what I had to do was start CPR immediately while I called 911, and my mom and aunt were, in a state of panic standing around me. So, unfortunately, I already could tell from what was going on in my arms that he passed away before the police arrived. And so that happened. And I was already grieving my family members before they passed, but I guess the manner in which it happened really messed me up because the drinking amplified at home, or drinking amplified for me, regardless now of what happened at home. Because before I wouldn't get plastered and cope bad if I knew people were sick at the hospital and I had to go. Now it was because my aunt was still going to the hospital. Even if she was there, I would find a way to get plastered on the weekends. So this was in 2023 when my dad passed. Now my aunt's lung cancer is getting worse. I start to try and return to school. I actually pivot because I didn't really have a degree in mind before. I was screwing around, so I pivoted to healthcare after what happened actually, because I wanted to try and find a way to help other people, other families. Um, so then I'm starting to try studying for healthcare, and I'm still working full time, and I'm still caretaking, and I'm still blacking out. So my mental health was never addressed. It was pretty bad actually. Um, I got overweight. I isolated from all my friends, and I would the only whenever I showed up, I'd cause problems. I'd black out and punch things, or black out and say and do stupid, terrible things, and it was bad. I really was somehow juggling all the things I mentioned, but just not really mentally there. It's hard to explain, really. I was in a limbo, and all the while, I can't stop replaying the image of my dad. But eventually, things start to stabilize. I'm still drinking a lot, but my aunt's hospital trips are less, and my mom is able to help with my aunt, take her to a doctor's appointment so I can focus on school. Unfortunately, there was one day where we had to call 911 to go to the hospital, and this I didn't know either, but my aunt was given 2 months to live because of her lung cancer. I didn't know that. They kept that a secret from me because they didn't want me to get distracted from school, which was very nice of them. But when I was in my first semester of a nursing program, when we called 911 that time, she went to the hospital and never came back. By day two at the hospital, she was very confused, screaming, just not like her usual self, and that really hurt to watch. So then she passes too. So now I lose two of the four people in my house, the other two being me and my mom. And I still kind of lose it. I have a lot of moments since then. Even though it's just me and my mom, I have a lot of moments where I struggled since then. And I don't know. It's just been like a real roller coaster for me. Now recently my mom was in the ICU, so I stopped working again. I'm not going to stop my school because I'm so close to the finish line of this nursing program. I have one semester. And I actually made a big change. I stopped drinking and I haven't smoked a single vape or anything since end of last year because I know it's just my mom and she needs me. Thank God I stopped before she went to the ICU because I wouldn't have been. I actually found her unconscious on the floor and I had to call 911 again. It's been a lot for me, I feel like, for my mom too, but it's been nonstop, it feels like. Um, I'm figuring it out. I'm making it work. Right now, I'm getting ready to take my mom to a doctor. But it's tough. Life can be tough out there. I'm not sure if this is something that anybody can relate to or touches the heartstrings in any kind of way. But I just needed to get it off my chest and maybe share a story if somebody's going through hard times or going through grief that I'm also here. I know I'm an online stranger, but I'm here. So, yeah. If you somehow watch this whole video, there's going to be no edits or cuts because it's a serious topic. So, thank you. This was Joe with another episode of Let's Talk. I guess this is more of a story time with Joe. I don't know. I have two stupid series on my channel. But yeah, have a blessed day.